I don't know if you felt it, but I definitely felt it. I had shivers going down
The
my spine.
chills.
The music is back, and my internet is lagging again, so it seems. But we are back. The best Polish English speaking podcast about Warhammer 40k is here. We are Contact Lost. I am your host, Tweak. With me, I have my co host, Joker.
Yellow.
And with me, I have two fantastic guests from abroad. The former member of Team Netherlands, we have Dino,
Hey, yep.
and the brand new coach and logistics specialist and admin specialist, and one of the supporters in the selection process of the Polish national team. We have, I have no idea how to pronounce his nickname, so I'm going to go with Deuce.
Hi.
Welcome. It's you see it on the screen. Try to figure it out yourself. I asked, he doesn't know, so it's not my fault. Welcome everyone. Welcome to the episode. Today we are starting a new series that is going to run hopefully all the way up until the WTC, where we are going to touch upon different subjects related to teams events. Because obviously WTC is a teams event, so we are going to start with introductions of basic concepts behind teams for people who might want to get into teams and they haven't done it already. They are contemplating it, but just don't know how to get into it. But it's also for the more experienced players because we hope that everyone can find something interesting in our content. So stay tuned because this series is going to be very interesting and you might learn something new. But before we get into that, guys, how have you been? Dino, where have you been? What have you been doing? What is the current army that you are playing?
Current army is very fluctuating with me always, but I've been doing fine. I've been doing not a lot of 40k to be totally honest. I'm in a teams tournament with you guys on 5check. I'm in a teams tournament for Try Hard, also TTS by the way. But besides that, no games, no events, and I'm really happy with that life choice. To be honest, yeah.
Yeah, okay, very good. Same here. So for Vive Check, we are playing together in the team called Jebać Elfy. So if you don't know Polish, I think you still know what that name means. And yeah, the Try Hard League is one that I am participating in as well. A really
Yeah.
good one. A lot of stuff is happening. You don't need more than those two, really. That's enough.
No,
Deuce, how
it's a
about
lot of
you?
work already.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
My current army state is pretty mobile right now. I'm playing like CSM, Votan, Ultramarines, Blood Angels, Salamanders. Uh, Basically, the army my team needs.
Uh-huh.
Currently, I'm playing few TTS leagues and most of the events that are in Poland offline. Mostly team events, but I visited every big event like GT sized in Poland from beginning of the year, so pretty busy right now.
So you're the
Wow.
right person to invite to a podcast, I feel. All right, Joker, how about you? What have you been up to, and which army are you sporting right now?
I've also been, or I am playing the same TTS leagues as you've mentioned. Obviously, since we're in a team in one of them. I'm also currently participating in two TTS scrims. So that is a lot of games to play. It's starting to be a bit underwhelming if there is, a time limit to play like 4 games in a single
Hmm.
week.
Turns out
Uh,
a week is a very short piece of
a
time.
week is like it's no time.
Yeah.
You'd usually think a day is little time. Turns out a week isn't that much more.
Mm.
Yes, and recently I did participate in the Team Poland boot camp. So I was there as a punching bag, and I play that role particularly well. Playing my new Emperor's Children currently, so testing out
Nice.
things that did not work.
Okay.
Also,
Have you
and
have
yeah,
you tried have
that's
you tried
mainly how.
Helldrakes?
No, I have not tried Hell Drakes.
Okay. Have you
That's
taken
not.
some Molar fiends with you?
Uh, Not to the boot camp. I have tried them in a number of lists, but
I
they're
know.
just
I remember.
yeah, and they've never worked for me. I mean, they're
Never.
they're a bit unreliable. I've also tried the Flawless Blades. I've played against Skark with them, and it turns out if your dudes have 18 attacks, the math says you can't kill a 20-man unit, even if it's for example. So that makes it rough. And yeah, Skark called them useless blades. And after a couple of games, I think I agree with that statement.
Mm. So,
Yeah,
like every single time we talk, there are more and more useless units in that army. Well, you're going to end up with just rhinos at some point, I feel.
Rhinos and Noise Marines. You
And
can't beat
Yeah,
them.
Helldrakes.
and the
And
Helldrakes.
and
Yes.
yes, maybe.
Netherlands has already cracked this one, so it's Helldrakes, rhinos, and noise marines.
No, it's this is not Netherlands. This is all me by myself.
Ah, okay,
So
all right.
can't blame it on those guys anymore.
So next round on in vibe check, I understand you're playing EC then.
I mean, if I can.
Yeah, Joker, we'll
No,
let you.
you can't.
Okay, you'll have to duke it out offline. For now, we are slowly but efficiently moving towards our topic. So I chose this topic because, well, a couple of things. First of all, Team Poland, in the Polish Team Poland's Facebook, they started posting, I don't know, or creating posts about people who have been nominated to like the top 18 of players, and every single player in their description has the type of army that they like to play. And many a time, those things are just for jokes and fun and shits and giggles, but some of them caught my attention. They were really interesting. And I started to think that there are actually more types of armies than I thought there are. And I thought that it would be really interesting to have a look at that from the perspective of teams. So I guess we'll start with, and Deuce, I'll start with you, I guess.
Okay.
When we go into teams, there are some terms and definitions that we need to understand before we actually start competing. And the first two that come to my mind are the attacker and defender. So to if you were to provide like an Eli 5, explain like I'm 5, very easy definition of what is an attacker, what is a defender for teams? How does that work? What do they do? Why is it important?
Okay, so basically, when we pair our armies in teams events, we use the pairings of defender attacker. The defender is the card that you pick, and you will pick the table for this army, and opponent will give you two attackers to choose one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, you will give your defender, you will get two attackers, you will choose one of them, and you will play one of them as the defender on your table. So that's the importance here to choose correct army for your defender. We will go to archetypes later, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, because you will get the pairing you want and you will get the table you want,
Right.
basically. And attackers must be more versatile in team events because you still don't know basically what will be the defending army in your opponent's team.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so if I get this right, defenders and attackers are concepts that function in all sorts of teams, right? So no matter if you play a 3-man team, a 5-man team, an 8-man team, there is always an army that serves as a defender, that like the first defender, and then this defender gets to choose from one of the two attackers that the opposing team assigns, so to say,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Right. And then the defender potentially gets to choose the table. So if you have an army that strongly depends on terrain or doesn't want terrain, uh, that army potentially would serve as a proper defender.
That's right.
Okay. All right. Now, an attacker. What do those attackers do, and what makes you choose a certain army to be an attacker? Does it play any specific role, or is it just a hard hitter, or how does that work?
Okay, so basically, you want the attacker that can play the defender on the defender chosen table.
Mm-hmm.
So you need more skewed list, more specialized list most of the times, in my opinion, to have as your attacker to counter specific archetypes.
Mm-hmm.
Because in most of the times, the meta rotates this way that you will have certain archetypes as your defenders. So even if you don't know the defender of your opponent's team, you can still assume what will be the defender.
Mm-hmm.
So in team composition, you will need those lists to counter the probable defenders of different teams and to be able to score high on the defender on their chosen table,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
Okay. All right. And this year, Dino, this will be one for you. This year, it seems that WTC is trying to shake things up a little bit, and they are introducing a new concept, or at least to me, something that is new, and I haven't experienced it, and I don't know how it works. There is something called the champion, right? What is that? Have you heard about this? And what is that? Or if you don't know, maybe Joker can support.
Is this something new from last month or something?
No, I think this is just the stat checks idea. It's
Is
not.
Oh
it?
yeah, yeah.
I thought it was
It's
Yeah.
WTC introducing it.
no,
No.
I think Inch just
God
posted this.
forbid.
Okay, but still, it so if StatCheck invented it, it
Yeah.
probably applies in the Vibe Check League. I saw yesterday, I because I'm playing in the Vibe Check League as well, and I saw that in the Excel spreadsheet of my team, I was nominated as the champion. That's probably the only time I'm going to see my name next to the word champion in a cell. So I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, great. But what does that actually mean? Is that good or is that bad?
Funnily enough, I just had pairings a couple of hours ago with some of the boys of Team Sweden.
Uh-huh.
I also call that role champion. They call it trash. So take
Oh,
that as you want.
no, wait, no, what's going on?
So basically, the champion role in an eight-man format for example WTC, it is the last army of your roster that will play the last roster of your opponent's team. You do not get to pick a table. Your opponent does not get to pick a table. You just have the table that's left. You do not get to pick your opponent. There is no option for you guys.
Hmm.
Yep.
There's a couple of ways to fill in that role. You could have a list that is so good that it can take anyone off the board. That's an option. The other option is you are completely useless in the pairings process, and I'll just put you in the end, and whatever happens, happens. So
Okay.
it's either way, but it's most likely one of the most extreme variants.
Okay. So does it have any specific tactical value, or is it just the army that you have no idea what to do with?
It all depends again on the estimations.
Hmm.
If you have a list, like I said, is super good into everything, you can keep it in the back knowing it will have a good score. If it's not good at all, who knows what he will end up, and he might get a couple of points.
Hmm.
So it's either a really solid tactic as a champion, or it's literally trash, and you'll see what you get.
Okay.
Yeah,
Understood.
yeah.
All right. I don't know what happened to Joker because his camera went off. I don't know if he's with us or.
I am. My sound is here, but I think I'm gonna have to restart my PC if I want the visuals to come back. So sometimes crashes. I think it's
Yeah,
something with the graphics. So
happens. So up to you, basically. I think we're going to continue and then you decide
yeah,
what
you
you want
guys
to do.
carry on, and
All
I'll
right.
be back in a sec.
Okay, cool. So, Deuce, coming back to you. I think this is the right time to start delving into types of armies that are there, and I'll let you pick the first one and deep dive into it. Is it something that you play, or do we want to go alphabetically or with significance? You decide.
I will start with the easiest one.
Go on.
That will be the gun line, basically the firewall.
Hmm.
Uh, if you don't know, what I will do, I will show you the Skarks list,
Oh,
basically, and that
Okay.
will be it. Uh, it is the gunline strategy. So, as example, let's do Astra Militarum, the guard,
Hmm.
that you will play in, for now, in Hammer of the Emperor detachment. It will be tanks heavy with a little bit of infantry to do your scoring. And you will basically, in this army, have a lot of shooting potential. You will pick, as a defender, most of the times, open table to basically stay and fire, because for the gun line we have other term that's SAFH, basically stand and fire heavy. You will do your staging, go on the position, and don't move till the end of the game, and you will just shoot your opponent.
I'm sorry. Did you say stage and fire heavy?
Stand and fire heavy.
St- I always thought it was shooting army from hell.
Yeah, but there are few terms, and I chose the more environmental friendly one.
Okay, right. Okay. So so a gun line. So essentially anything that has a lot of guns, stands and weights. Do those armies have a place in the meta right now? Because it feels like the meta is very oppressive with a lot of fast armies and so on. Is there a place for gun lines in the
I
meta right
think
now?
I think there is a place
Hmm.
in 8 man's team, definitely. In fives, I will take this into consideration. Should I have the gun line? But in every table set, you will have the open tables, and you will want to have an army in the team that can play on this open table. So the gun line will be the perfect option here,
Hmm.
in my opinion.
Okay. All right. Dino, would you consider including a shooting army from hell in your 8-man army composition today, or are you going for something else, judging by experience, what you're seeing in your TTS leagues, and so on?
Um, I think it's a good archetype,
Hmm.
and if you have the right list with the right pilot, I'd absolutely consider it because
Okay.
it solves the issue of the light board. Um, and played properly, it can be a real annoying thing in the pairings process. Yeah, but I'm thinking now. Is there right now a gunline or list?
Basically, I think one only, the guard on Hammer of the Emperor,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
with the
I would say
Auto Advance 6.
It has
when
no counter charge in that, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
wouldn't you say Votan is a gun line list?
Mm, I will say it depends on the build. It
Yeah.
can be, but in my opinion, the guard will still be better filling in that position.
Okay, interesting. So I my headphones disconnected just for a sec, so I might have missed it. But is Tau today considered a gunline army, or is it more like combined arms because Tau is now tinkering a lot with like crude and close combat and stuff that Tau isn't usually known for?
I
I'd
will
say,
say
yeah,
more combined arms, basically.
Okay, Dino?
Taos is terrible. I think
Sorry
Yeah,
to
that's
hear.
my troll take. It's
it's
not even an army.
it's a really good gunline army, but it's bad, really bad. I'm sorry.
Hmm, that's depressing. That's depressing, especially that I
Yeah,
used to collect it, but not anymore,
yeah.
for that sheer factor. Okay, so you have a gunline army. Now, in again, in today's um, army composition, what do you hope to achieve with a gunline army? Is it an army that does missions well? Is it an army that brings high scores? Is it an army that is supposed to get draws? Deuce, what do you think?
I
Or
think
all of those
in
things?
in current meta, it will be an army that will do small wins and consistent draws,
Hmm.
basically. Uh, and this army does not score points. Basically, what you will want to do, it's death models doesn't score, dead models
Hmm.
doesn't score, so you just will try to kill your opponent
Okay.
faster than they will kill you.
Essentially, remove your opponent and that's it.
Yeah, and score points that way.
Hmm. Okay. And Skark, you've mentioned Skark, and you've given his example. He is known for playing like those mathematical armies that just overwhelm the opponent with shooting. But again, does this? And I wanted to ask this question to Joker. Uh, the WTC tables this year seem to have changed, or like changed in that when you look at the document with the armies and terrain layouts, there are no longer light tables, heavy tables, and so on and so on. So has that changed or not? Your face is telling me I don't know what.
Well, they've removed that naming convention.
Hmm.
I'm not sure why, but I have to say that, in my opinion, it was at times misleading. Sometimes a a medium table was actually more dense than a heavy table because of how the terrain was put on it and how the shooting lanes then were created on it. The only difference between light, or not only difference, the difference between light, medium, heavy was between the ruin types that are on those tables. So light tables had 2 big ruins, medium had 4, heavy had 6, and that division is still there, even though they've taken the name light, medium, heavy out of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Dino, do you want to go with another archetype? Anything that comes to your mind, or something that you play, perhaps, or a play style that you enjoy?
um, I like board pressure armies. These armies, which are usually really fast,
Mm-hmm.
have really good melee pressure, um, and you always have the option to just run down your opponent. World Eaters was really good with this when they first came out. Creations of Baal right now is really good at it. Um, Emperor's Children, while having a bit different mechanic, they do kind of the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you need a pilot which can play very aggressively um, to get the most out of it. But it is a very enjoyable game style
Mm-hmm.
to play.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's when we think about the toolkit of such an army, what would what abilities would there be? Advancing and charging, I imagine. Um,
Yes.
Anything
Advancing
else?
reactive moves, just extra movement. Another good one is Section, Pile, and Consolidate, which is very powerful. Combat buffs. Um, for example, Nemesis Claw is amazing,
Mm-hmm.
just to shut down any stratagems of your opponent in a fight phase. That's really good. Um, Transport are always really good in a detachment like this. You will see a lot of rhinos. Fly also another amazing thing, just to jump over screens.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Any of the like pre-game sort of scout,
yeah, yeah,
infiltrate,
yeah,
stuff like that?
Yeah, I was
yeah,
Probably.
gonna say both
Mm,
of
yeah,
those come
yeah.
in
okay.
very handy.
But
All
I'd
right.
say those rules are good in pretty much any army, any
Mm-hmm.
list. Yeah.
Okay. Are there any pitfalls to such an army? Because it does sound a little bit like One Trick Pony, that if you do not succeed at what you want to do, so you don't pressurize your opponent early, or your opponent is able to essentially bounce back quickly, you fail. Is that so?
Yeah, you usually cannot fuck up. There
Yeah.
is there is no room to make errors. To you need to be aware of the shooting lanes of your opponents. You need to be aware of your position on the board.
Hmm.
I think the most important thing is knowing when to put your foot on the gas. If you do too early, you might miss your mark. If you do too late, well, you're behind points and you're not going to get a win out of it anyways.
Hmm.
So it
So
takes a lot. It takes a lot of practice.
yeah, you make it sound like it's like sort of like a high risk, high reward army. Is this a good concept for an army to take in a team composition? Like, that is a captain who is managing a team, running a team, happy to have an army like that, or is it, yeah, as I said, high
Yeah,
risk to have an army like that?
I've done quite a few number of pairings. I like these things have as a tool in your roster, um, but I also think you can mitigate the risk by having an experienced player on it,
Hmm.
and then it becomes way more reliable. And then it's just great to have this button which you can just jam on when you need a high score
Hmm.
for your team.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah,
Cool.
Yeah, totally agreed. I mean, this type of army requires a specific playstyle and a really good pilot to get the most out of it, because you can easily, if you get the timing wrong, like Eno said, it's game over a lot of times. So you need the right person who's done a lot of reps on it, and then it'll always bring you big points if you pair it correctly.
Hmm. Okay, sounds good. Sounds again like a useful thing to have in
yeah.
your toolkit as a captain. Joker, do you want to go with another one?
Another one. Okay. there are also these things like stat check armies, so where you overload your list with a specific profile. The most obvious example we currently have in the meta are Chaos Knights, where you
Oof.
just bring 13 toughness 10, 12 wounds, 3 up save bodies to the table, and some armies just can't deal with it.
Especially with OC8.
Yeah, that's the other
Also,
stat check.
yeah.
Hmm. Okay. So how does that army work? I mean, is it just about them being resilient and them being, flooding the table and holding objectives, or is there something more to it?
It's not necessarily being resilient per se. It's more that it's more a thing of having one or two, but few specific profiles and just reaching that critical mass,
Hmm.
where most combined arms list won't be able to deal with that profile in such high numbers.
Right. So if you're bringing like a take all comers list and you're hoping to do well in teams, if you get paired into something like that, you're most likely
You
fail.
might not be able to deal with it,
All right.
yes. So not quickly enough, and then you just lose out on points.
Okay. Any other examples of armies like that, or like, and I'm talking about, just give me. You've mentioned knights. Does any other army fit into that playstyle right now?
You could do it the other way around, and instead of high toughness Fakos, you could swamp the board with just a gazillion bodies. That's
So
a
a
different
horde.
kind of
Hmm.
stat check, but it does the same thing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'd say Flyblown Host touches that with all the Poxwalkers. I
Hmm.
don't think there's any other Horde army right now in play.
There's one,
Uh,
but it's really specific, and that's Tyranids on Undying Swarm on around that was around 280 models.
Sounds like something Golonka would play.
Yeah,
Why?
like Golonka style, Kruger style army. The
Hmm.
Kruger played with it, if I remember correctly.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and it's the same type of stat check. If when you have gargoyles that will move, shoot, move, and if you kill them, they will come back next turn.
Hmm.
Basically,
Yeah, so it's essentially you put something in front of your opponent and you say, "Come at me and show me what you've got." Because it's either do you have enough guns and enough bullets to kill all I have, or do you shoot hard enough to kill what I
Yeah,
have? So
yep.
yeah, okay, sounds like a great concept and definitely not
That,
something that
that's what it is.
that
Obviously, it has a
everyone can play.
downside if your opponent has like your opponent, the opposing team has like 2, 3 armies that can actually deal with such a skew, then it's going to be tricky to pair it right.
Yeah, and in the team of 8, it is there is high probability that they are bringing something that is going to um, be able to tackle you. But on the other hand, a skilled captain will probably somehow manage it. Okay, Deuce, your turn.
okay. So we can go with mentioned before combined arms or all commerce list.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And as an example, I will do the Ultramarines that play pretty well for now. Uh, the all commerce list will have a bit of everything: few tough units, few fast units, bit of shooting, bit of combat to play with basically everything. It's take all commerce list, so
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter what you pair it into on which table, it will still provide you pretty okay score. Like I mean 7 to 13, it's
Mm-hmm.
still pretty okay score in the team's environment.
Okay. So as a captain, Dino, a question to you. As a captain, would you try to put this army into something that is not SQ? Would you keep it as a champion? Or like in the case of, I don't know, Ultramarines, for example, do you make a striker or an attacker out of them?
It's too. There's too many options to already assign a role to it.
Mm-hmm.
You have a matrix. You see where the green and the pinks are. Pink is really high score, so you're going to chase that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like if one of my teammates coming, hey, I got this ultramarine list. What are you going to do with me? I have no idea. I have to see how the pairings process goes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I do like having 3 to 4 all-comer armies in a teams format. because it's just very flexible. It's like a Swiss Army knife. You could do whatever you want with it.
Hmm. So,
Yeah.
Joker, can you name any other examples of like combined arms armies right now in the meta? Caught you by
Well,
surprise with that one.
CSM can play in that role.
Yeah, they have a
I mean,
potential for that.
if you look at lists for home nations this weekend, then a couple of people are bringing like a combined arms CSM style lists. What else places combined arms?
DevGuard.
Quickly, what is there in the meta? Yeah, DevGuard. I think
Voten.
DevGuard's more often a stat check. At least
SQ,
that's
I
what I
think.
would classify it. Yeah, you usually have a machine park, maybe with a little bit of counter.
Or
Votan.
Podswalkers.
Yeah, Votan would actually fit. Yeah, fine. I can agree with that. Is there anything else that plays combined arms?
How about Custodes? Are Custodes a stat check, a combined arms, or none of those?
Depends on what you take. I mean, if you take your usual 2 tanks with some bodies, I'd say that's pretty much a combined arms kind of thing. That's
And
what.
then if you take fewer dreadnoughts in the whatever the detachment is called, spearhead.
Yeah,
Solar
if you're
Spearhead.
going the solar spearhead direction, then you're more leaning into the stat check area. But you can also overload with wardens and just golden bodies, golden boys, which is also stat check really.
And are Eldar a combined arms army because they have what
Yes.
vehicles, they have
Yeah,
infantry,
definitely.
and yeah. So I think that fits into that archetype. Great. Okay. Cool. So, Deuce, your turn.
Okay, so we can go, I think, with the archetype I'm calling Castle.
Hmm.
Basically, as an example, I will do the CSM Abaddon Shooty Park with Accursed Cultist. That was popular like 6 months
Oh yeah.
ago, something like this. Even I played with it. So basically, you will have centerpiece of your army. Here in this example, it's Abaddon, who will give his aura here of reroll hits to around 6 to 8 vehicles you have in
Hmm.
your list, and the rest of your list is just bodies to put on the table. I think this type of list is almost always having place in teams because it's not like combined arms that will have answer on basically everything,
Hmm.
but if paired well, it will most of the times give you the big scores. If you give it proper table, the sky is the limit. Like 20 is the limit. So most of the times, I think as a captain, I will like the list like this in my roster.
Okay. Is there any other army that fits into this archetype right now?
You can build the Voton like this,
Hmm.
basically. You can try to build Space Marines.
Yeah, I thought of like the lion and
Yeah,
Deathwing
exactly.
Knights and so on.
The Dark Angels, and I think that will be it.
Yeah, so, sounds pretty narrow right now.
Oh, and
Mhm.
CSM basically that we can name Castle, we can name Death Star, the different CSM with 3 times 10 possessed squad,
Mhm.
also with Abaddon as a centerpiece for the army.
Okay. Yeah,
Wh-
interesting.
What would be the big difference between Gunline and Castle?
Basically, in my opinion, the gunline does not stack in one place of the board. You can cover all the shooting lanes with the gunline, and with a castle, you will just push one flank and you will push it till the end of the table.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I
the
Basically,
like
gun.
I like what Nibla is suggesting in the comments, which is essentially Mortarion as this force multiplier, and whatever you put around him. So be it Preds, be it PPCs, be it even Mythic Blight Holders or something, and Morty in the center to just spread his auras and give everyone benefits.
yeah,
So
exactly.
so it's the mobility and the option for a countercharge what differentiates it from a gunline. Is that correct?
Yeah, basically yes.
So it's actually, let's say Gunline is a 2, Combined Arms is a 0, and Castle is a 1, something in
Yeah,
between.
something in between those two
Yes.
types.
Okay, cool.
Beautifully explained.
Yeah.
All right, Cool. Dino, what else comes to your mind? We already
Ooh,
have the gun line, board pressure, stat check army, one way or another, combined arms, castle. Anything else?
I'm really thinking, but there's nothing.
All right.
I think you got most of it now
So
already.
let me ask you that just in a straight manner. Although I don't know if castle and this next one are not the same thing, but do we currently see Death Stars in the meta? Because to people who don't know, and I reach back with my memory to the times of like seventh edition,
The
where
dark
you
days.
you
Yeah,
essentially
dark
had
days.
Good old times.
yeah you essentially
No,
please
no, God
please
no.
never come back. But we
Yeah,
had those combinations where you would have like a massive unit with 2 3 characters that made it nigh impossible to kill. 5 character
really.
Joker, you explain.
Well, no, I mean you're going in the right direction. So you have a unit that can take like has a big squad size. So in the dark days that have been mentioned, the days of yore, it was like 40 Fenrisian wolves or I don't know, 10,
Ra- Razor and Block.
20 bikes or whatnot, or guardsmen or anything really.
Hmm.
After I said that, there used to also be a Centurion star, and that Centurions only had like 6 models, I think, in the squad. So the numbers don't really add up in that case. But yeah, you'd have a couple of characters attached to that squad that each with some buff, and they would stack and create something absolutely ridiculous.
A monstrosity, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so do we have that now?
No, I mean,
No,
I think currently the rules don't really allow you to do that. At most, you can attach 2 characters, and
Hmm.
it's usually to some sort of battle line unit that you can't really, it's not that obnoxious. So I wouldn't say that we have Death Stars, and hopefully they never come back.
Yeah, I think the closest, although I might be mistaken, but I think the closest was something that Leshy would run, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years at the W. I don't know how long ago that was, but like an apothecary biologist with uh,
Aggressor.
aggressors, and so that sounds a little bit like a Death Star, but it wasn't the Death
it was
Star of the
manageable.
yeah. But it
Yeah,
doesn't sound like whatever we had in seventh edition. So
no.
thank God it's not there. So let's think of something else. Joker. Any other archetypes that you can think of?
Jail.
Jail. Okay, explain what a jailed
So
army is.
I don't think it's been popular in previous editions. At least I don't recall, or maybe it was. Anyway, your basic concept is that you close your opponent in their deployment zone early on, and then you just score. So this can fall into also the like horde stat check kind of thing, but doesn't have to. So
Hmm.
at WTC, the Polish team had successfully used a Wolf Jail list to deliver big points, and that just had 18 Thunderwolf cavalry with like the right set of abilities to pretty much close you off in your deployment zone and block enough of the board for you not to be able to chew through them to get on objectives and score points.
Hmm. Okay. So again, are there any other examples of armies that do that right now that can be used in that
Admech can
manner
do it
Yeah,
with
with
Pteraxi and so
yeah
on?
with Batman's basically.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah,
Anything else?
Nits were pretty good at that, and
On
judging
Vanguard,
by
right?
no, more on Vanguard, yes. I would say more
yeah.
unending swarm when you could just spam the resurrection stratagem. But by the looks of it, so by today's leaks and the newest addition from Q Team, World Eaters might join that archetype potentially. So what you need for that is again units that infiltrate, preferably, and then some units that have a big footprint. So again, it doesn't have to be particularly like 20 plus models in a unit. It can be just like the Thunderwolf cavalry, where you have 8 guys on 50 millimeter bases that also just take up a huge chunk of the board.
Hmm. Okay. Why are infiltrators that important in such an army?
Well, you basically start closer to your opponent already, so it's easier to start jading them in their first turn if you go first.
Because your infiltration also denies their infiltration, so it's already like a step
Yes,
ahead.
and the
Mm,
scouts. So yeah, it's quite important. So on the other hand, if you only got scout, for example, and the opponent has infiltrate, you're n- you're also not you're not leaving your deployment zone, so you can't jail them effectively.
mm-hmm.
For
Yeah.
example.
Okay.
There's also one build I can think of, one more, that will be the demons in New Shadow Legion on over 15 Erglings, basically.
Yeah.
You you do
Yes.
the
Don't give
Great
people stupid
Unclean one,
ideas.
over 15 Erglings.
And
So if
over
you win
50.
the infiltration, you win the game, basically. You will
You can
infiltrate around 15 Erglings. You can do it in its battle line unit. It can go in unit of 9 models. So you
Yeah,
will just,
54 is the most you can take,
yeah,
so 50 is already very hard into the skew.
Why
But
would you
it's
give people
also
ideas like that?
you just
not many
start the
points.
Silly.
infiltrate, just start the infiltrate roll, and you are jailed.
Mm. I think
There
even
is
if you don't start with that role, with the sheer amount of infiltrators, you still do what you're supposed to do.
there is another army that fits this role of jail, also fits Horde, is Host of Ascension of Gene Stealer cults. I think you bring 110 neophytes,
Mm-hmm.
and then you bring another 20 back through res. It seems like it's a shooting army, but you're basically just charging everything, tagging everything, and telling your opponent, hey, these are 20 wounds, you don't have enough attacks to kill them, and I'm respawning, so good
Have fun.
luck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Innis is doing a really good job with them. Floof from America as well. So yeah, that's also quite jaily.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like something definitely you want to bring to an 8v8. All right. Cool. Any other archetypes that come to your mind, guys? Now, I'm not going to call you out by names because the number of ideas that we can give is shrinking rapidly,
Yeah.
but
I think
anything else?
about one more that will
Uh-huh.
be MSU, multiple small units.
Oh, yeah,
So you
absolutely.
will, as example, have Eldari right now. Let's say Warhost Inari doesn't matter. You will put over 20 units into your list. You will give these units the tools to basically jump over the table and score.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so with the good positioning of those units, it will be very hard for your opponent to kill them. And like in Inari, you will have a lot of tools to deny your opponent primary, score every card possible, block enemy card scoring because you have such many units on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And they
Okay.
are just small units like 5-man squads, 5 spiders, 5 hawks, 5 banshees, etc.
Mm-hmm. So you have target saturation, and your opponent doesn't know what to target first, basically.
Exactly.
Mm.
Yeah, it means that your opponent might also have to overcommit at times, make unoptimal decisions by having to split fire or not doing that, and then not getting the optimal kill count, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak.
Yeah, and
So yeah, that's
with
that.
that large amount of units, you can pretty much do whatever you want. You can put some in reserve, you can put some in deep strike, and then you have all the sorts of advantage that your opponent potentially doesn't have, and you can surprise him in multiple ways. So yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Any other ones that you might consider bringing to a teams event? I mean, just before the Joker and Dino joined, you've mentioned a deep strike bomb. Is that something that is an archetype and a viable tactic?
It's not viable now in 10th edition, basically.
Uh-huh.
You don't have tools to utilize it, I think. We spoke about the Gene Stealer Cools before, that you will have a lot of neophytes, etc. When the Gene Stealers still were on the index before the codex, you could do it. So basically, when you deploy it, you will put like with the stratagems and abilities around 1500 points into the reserves,
Mm-hmm.
and you will just spam the board from the reserves. and you will play it aggressively and deny your opponent everything you can.
Okay. Is that something that Scari's list with Void Raven Bombers sort of does, or like the Tau Bomber in, I don't know, 2 data slates ago, that it simply came out of, out of
No,
reserve? No, that's
No,
not.
no, because we're talking about an Alpha Strike here. So, and planes don't come in until turn 2 right now, so that kind of misses the point already.
Okay, so we're talking about turn 1 deep
yeah,
striking.
it was
Okay.
turn
At
one
least
deep
that's
striking
the impression I got.
over or table in your opponent deployment zone, etc.
hmm And Joker, you've mentioned Alpha Strike. Is that like Alpha Striking Army? Is that an archetype in itself?
It used to be. I don't think we can speak about Alpha Strike armies right now, though Votan could do such a thing fairly
Votan could
reliably
do
if
it,
they go first.
and Ward Eaters if they go
Uh,
first.
yeah, but only if there's no opposition infiltrates. Well, that goes true for Votan as well,
Yeah.
and anything else that would try. Anyway, so yeah, basically the idea is you're in your opponent's phase turn 1.
All right.
Ultimately, almost any army could do an alpha strike if your opponent allows it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also
I guess
World Eater's alpha strike can be stopped. No, is it
can
then
be.
still an alpha strike army? I don't
I
know.
think.
Generally,
Mhm.
you would have tools that would allow you to do that, not necessarily your opponent having to allow you to do that. So again, in the past, what it was is you take your Space Marines, you got 3 drop pods as part of your
Yeah,
detachment, and then you just put all your whole army in drop pods, 9 inch. I don't think it was 9 inches back then. It was
It
a
was
scatter
scatter
dice
dice.
roll.
Mhm.
Uh, close to your opponent anyway. And yeah, just proceed to kill them in turn 1. But that was in
Eons
days
ago.
that terrain also didn't exist. So if you had Tau and a Storm Surge and you won your roll off, you could also just blast your opponent off the board
But
without
now,
coming closer. So
but
was that an
now,
Alpha Strike?
potentially, maybe Grey Knights or Hypercrypt if it existed still. Uh, it had the
Hypercrypt
potential.
doesn't do enough damage,
Yeah, right now,
not
but
I
anymore.
would
before.
say. Well, in this edition, I don't think there was a moment that did enough. Well, maybe with like 3 monoliths, if you really went super skew. Same
I
goes for
did.
Grey Knights, but you have to go second,
Yeah, that's what I
which is
wanted to
like
say.
counterintuitive to the Alpha Strike idea.
It's Beta Strike.
Yeah,
But yeah, pretty much. Okay, did we miss anything? Are there any other archetypes that come to your mind?
I mean, I'm trying to put up competitive innovations because the guys on Goonhammer usually call each list some sort of archetype of
Archetypes.
Inari
Ah,
Mischief,
clever, clever.
Basically,
Blood Angels, MSU. So if you
we
go
covered
into
everything I had in my notes.
Yeah, Eldar Fuckery is probably an archetype of its own, but we're not going to this one because everyone hates it. All right, so maybe just to round it up and so on. Uh, if you were building an 8-man team now, and we have that list of all the archetypes that we've mentioned, Deuce, I'll start with you. Give me your first 4 picks for a top 8 team right now.
First for picks,
Yeah, what would you bring? Like archetype and an army example,
I will
or
pick
army example and an archetype.
I will pick 2 combined arms armies, definitely, to have them in
hmm
my team comp. I will take Ultramarines and probably CSM, all commerce list.
hmm
I will take the skew army of Imperial Knights, not Chaos Knights.
Explain that choice.
Okay, 12 small knights,
hmm
Mini Storm Priest, Khalidus Assassin, Immolator, Battle Sister Squad. You are tougher than Chaos Knights.
And you have a lot of action monkeys as well because the
Exactly.
sisters then split thanks to the immolator. Blah blah blah. So
You have the best stratagem in game that's +1 to strength, AP, and damage on your knights. Basically, you can do it AP2 with Immolator, stripping cover, etc. It just skill list, the tough list, and I think I will take the board control list of DevGuard right now, or some Jade like AdMech.
Okay. So board control DevGuard achieves that through Flyblown host, or are we talking play
I think
company?
Play Company
Okay.
with 3 PBCs, Mortarion, Plug Marines, Death Shrouds,
Drones and all that
etc.
good
The classic list.
stuff. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay.
Juice, if Imperial Knights 12 dogs are good, why not take both?
I
Both
was
is in.
thinking about that,
Mm-hmm.
and basically it depends on the pilots you have, because not
Yeah,
everyone will be able to pilot it.
yeah.
And when I'm thinking about 8-man teams, I'm referring myself to my team I'm playing in, and
Mm.
we will not have enough operators to do it correctly,
But it would be
basically.
cool, right?
It would be cool and it would be very good. Also, you can take like 5 skew list on toughness, and many team comps will not have answer to it, but you will not win high, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, no,
Okay.
there is a ceiling for that list. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
cool. Okay,
You
cool.
will make 5 12s, that's
Yeah,
great, but you will need to cover different types of armies
yeah,
for viable team comp, I think.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Dino, same question to you. Like, is there an army, or let's say three, that you cannot imagine an 8v8 team composition without right now?
Um, our team for Try Hard is really good. I'm really happy with the composition, and I don't think I would change. There's might be one faction I would change, but besides that, I'm super happy with Atmeg, Space Wolves, Death Guard, Chaos Knights, Custodes. We have demon. I'd probably switch out demons. 'Cause I don't like demons that much. Emperor's Children has been really good, and I am missing something.
Two, three, four, five, six.
Death Guard,
You've mentioned Death Guard.
Custodes already mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Space was already mentioned. What am I
Mm-hmm.
missing now? Chaos Knights, Inari. Yeah.
Inari.
Okay. All right. What would you, and this is a question to you and Joker at the same time, what would you use Emperor's Children as, and to tackle what? Any specific roles that they play?
I'm a bit spoiled with our Empress Children because we have Sacco from Team France.
Mm,
So Sacco gets to tell what he wants, and he gets it, and he brings us a lot of points. So everyone's happy.
all
So
right.
yeah, so Sacco gets pretty much paired into whatever I can get what he wants.
Mm-hmm. And Joker, how about you? When you look at your matrix, what are the reds? What are the greens?
Well, it kind of depends on the table as well.
Mm-hmm.
You need the Emperor's Children to have an okay-ish table where they can
Yeah.
stage. So that always kind of sparses the matrix a little bit, dilutes it. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's a better word. But well, Death Guard is unwinnable, I would say. For
Mm.
example, for
Okay.
Emperor's Children. I mean, if Death Guard is built correctly, and something that Emperor's Children should be able to plow through, Eldari, for example.
Interesting. Okay. Good. Last question, and I think we're going to close this one off, and I'll start with Dino. Top three defenders, in your opinion, right now, or
Death
armies that
Guard,
have the potential to be a defender.
Death Guard, Photon, mm, Custodes. Yeah.
Okay. Custodes, because they pretty much can take anyone and draw. I imagine that's the justification.
15 Wardens is really annoying. 15 Wardens on their table choice is just a pain in the ass.
Super annoying.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you get into the realms of Kasori's getting a 10. Good luck
Hmm.
getting stopping that.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Death Guard, because my understanding of Death Guard right now is that they start with assuming they draw against everyone, and then it can only get better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Votan as a army that is a gun line that needs a table, or any other justification for that?
Pretty much the same as Death Guard. If it starts at 10, and as soon as your opponent slips up, you're creeping towards the 13.
Okay, understood. Do you
Yeah,
same
especially
question?
if they get
Sorry.
the table choice.
Yeah.
All right, good, good. Do you same question to you? Top
I
three
will
defenders.
repeat. I will repeat to the Dino speaks,
Really?
Devgard and Votan,
Okay.
because Devgard and Votan, as you said, you start with the 10 and you are going only up if you
Mm-hmm.
don't flop it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And my third pick will be Dark Angel Stormlance,
Oh, yeah.
because if you give it its table, it will be also around 10 with everyone and only better on the good table and with good pairing.
So a good table for Dark Angel Stormlands would be what, a heavy table with a
Heavy
lot of
table,
terrain?
closed table, dense table.
Mm,
You move
okay.
through the walls, you have 4 hard bricks of 3 times Deathwing Knights and Lion,
Mm-hmm.
so you can stand on the objective, you can punch hard with those units, and you play pretty well in everything in meta right now.
Okay. Great. That sounds interesting. Joker, any variation to the ideas presented already?
Well, I agree that Votan and DevGuard are very solid picks, but to maybe stir the pot a little, for my third, I'd either go with Shadow Legion or maybe Blood Angels.
Okay. So Shadow Legion because.
Because it's annoying to kill,
Mm-hmm.
which means it can always play to a draw, but also has the tools to push in case it needs to. And if it gets the table choice, it can only get better.
Mm-hmm.
It's well, not similarly, but similarly to Dino's Custodes, the same reason would be for Blood Angels, right? Because you can get a table pick, you can stage, and then you've got lots of damage in combat that you should be able to plow through most things and then get the score you need.
Mm-hmm. All right. Sounds good. All right. So there you have it, guys. I hope that this episode has given you some ideas on how to build your 8v8 or your 5v5 or your 3v3. That this has inspired you in a way, and that we will see you in either Vibe Check or Try Hard or any other of the TTS leagues and the face to face leagues as well. We strongly recommend teams play, and the more events of teams, the better. Any closing words, Joker? Do you want to lead us out?
Sure. So, as always, if you like what we do, please like, subscribe, hit the bell button, etc., etc. Consider becoming a patron. If you already are a patron, a massive thank you because you're making this possible, and we're only doing this thanks to you. A massive thank you to our sponsors, the Army Painter and the Wayland Utani, for their constant support, and to Team Poland, as Contact Lost is the official media partner. So make sure to pop in for content, including the guys from the team.
Very good. Dino, Deuce, it's been a massive pleasure to have you on. I hope we can repeat that soon. Um, and I hope you enjoyed yourselves as much as I enjoyed it.
I did.
I did also.
Fantastic.
Nice.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Tune in next week as we are going to go with another episode of Contact Lost Does Teams. And if you have any ideas for topics or anything that you would like us to cover, do let us know in the comments, and we will definitely lean in that direction. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Bye bye.
Good night.